Welcome back to another chapter of Rock Forever. We've got a very special guest today. He is the lead singer frontman of the Mighty Thunder. Please welcome Danny BOWES.
Yay, there he is. There he is, everyone. Stop clapping now.
Look at that. Amazing. Coast to coast and around the world. We're taking it to the UK and Europe. Along with your partner, Luke Morley, who is the chief songwriter and guitarist and producer, you guys are coming up on, looks like 32 years. What is it that keeps Thunder going?
I think it's just pure fun. I think we're very lucky as a group of individuals. We get on very well. We spend our time laughing. I know a lot of bands say it, but we actually do. And we just enjoy each other's company. Everybody's good at what they do. He delivers us great tunes. And we've got, an ever-growing audience that's just sort of desperate to keep hearing what we can do with them. So, what's not to like?
Absolutely. We've lost so many of our heroes. So many bands have done their final or in their middle of their farewell tours. We love that classic rock with a hard rock, energy, and you guys keep bringing it. And you've got a new album, All the Right Noises. I know there's the TV special, the album, Going to Sin City, a beautiful lyric video. Talk about, making this album. If there's anything you're most proud of achieving or accomplishing so far with the songs.
I think what's interesting to me about this album is that he wrote it over the period between 2018, 2019. And clearly he must have had a lot on his mind, because there's a lot of anger in the lyrics and the subject matter of these songs. Yet, and this is the genius of the man, I mean, obviously he's not listening, so I can say this, otherwise, he'll kick me. But he's very clever. He's able to put together a song that's very angry with a very serious lyric, about, in some cases, mental health, about Brexit, about how unhappy he is about things in general, populism, immigration. I mean, they're all on this album. And yet he does it in a way that makes you tap your foot, and it makes you want to sing along, and it makes you want to dance around the room. I think that's a mark of a very, very, very clever songwriter.
Absolutely. To be able to get everybody rocking and still have a little message in there, a little substance, while you bang your head. Now, talk about the single Going to Sin City. We see the imagery of, the casinos, the gambling. Is there a deeper message, anything behind the lyrics to Going to Sin City?
Well, that although it's very much Vegas all the way in the lyric video, the song was actually written about the first time Luke and I ever went to Los Angeles. We went to Hollywood and we were up and down the Sunset Strip taking it all in. This is in the, I don't know, probably probably 87, 88, I think. And we were blown away. There was a scene going on there with bands like Motley Crue, all those kind of hair bands that, the girls had next to no clothes on. The boys had more makeup on than the girls. And in some cases, their hair was better than the girls. And we were just these two we thought we were pretty happening dudes, in London. But when we got there, we felt like the guys, I think Luke already went on record to say, we felt like the guys who'd come to fix the plumbing. We felt very, very ordinary by comparison. And we soaked up all the culture, we soaked up the bands, we soaked up the vibe that was going on, and we took it back with us, and we used all of that energy to form Thunder, because up until that point, we just ended the previous band, Terraplane, and we were wondering what to do. Part of the reason for going there was to have some meetings with labels, and I don't know how we got into these meetings, but we did. And we took the energy and we formed the band with it. So Going to Sin City is pretty much the story of how we got the band going.
That's amazing. I mean, we're right here in the heart of Los Angeles as you speak, and I've been here since 1980. And yeah, the Sunset Strip was exploding. The Guns N' Roses and the Motley Crues and all that were raging, and it was all in the shadow of the mighty Van Halen, which had exploded in the the late 70s, and everybody wanted to be that party band. Everybody wanted to have the girls and the raging party. And it really, was an amazing time. And there was probably streetwalkers up and down Sunset Boulevard as you hit those meetings. And like you said, little did the parents know what their daughters were wearing when they went out to the clubs, because it was pretty decadent, but
Yeah.
all in good fun. Some of us made it, some of us maybe didn't, but it certainly inspired a great band and song. There's certainly something to be learned by everything. And I know part of your passion, in this album is you've helped instill some of those great um, feelings of soul music and classic rock and some of those expanded feelings. Were there any great soul singers or rock singers from the past that were big influences on you? Who were your heroes coming up singing?
Oh wow! I mean, when I first heard Paul Rodgers sing, somebody lent me the Free Live album. I heard that album, and it changed my life. I decided there and then I had to be a singer, and I had to do it like that, the way he did it. He had such a lot of soul, such a lot of blues in such a young voice, such a lot of power, so much kind of raw energy going on. It literally changed my life. And then you talk about Van Halen. I went to see Van Halen on the second album. They played in London, and obviously they were amazing and they blew everybody away. But the thing that really impressed me was what a great frontman David Lee Roth was, because up until that point, I spent all my money on seeing bands play, and everybody who came into town, I went to see them, literally all my money. And up until that point, everybody I'd seen, they just kind of stood there and performed the songs, but they weren't controlling the proceedings. And David Lee Roth changed that. For me, he came on for the encore. He stepped out behind the curtain when he had his chaps on and huge, huge ostrich feathers. And he stood there naked from the chest up, waist up, sorry, with his guitar. And he did Ice Cream Man on his own. And then a curtain opened and the band came out. But the way he controlled the audience prior to the band kicking in, it it blew my mind. I remember thinking to myself there and then on that day, this guy's not just a singer. He may not be the best singer in the world, but my Christ, what a great frontman. And I vowed there and then that I needed to do that way. I couldn't just stand there and sing. I had to find a way to impact on that audience so that they remembered the evening when they left. And that's been my mantra pretty much ever since. So he had a massive effect on me. But when you talk about soul singers and blues singers, I mean, Otis Redding, huge influence on me. Stevie Wonder, my favorite singer of all time, still plays albums every day. Marvin Gaye, the What's Going On album, it's right up there in my top 5. Same thing with, there's just so many great singers. But those guys, they made great records too. They weren't just great singers. They were great writers.
Yeah, it's really all all about the song, long after an artist may be gone, it's those songs that live on and great performances in our memories. And yeah, that's the amazing thing about Paul Rogers is his voice sounds stronger today than it did like 50 years ago, with Free. I mean, I don't know, his health regimen, but he's obviously kept his voice well seasoned and kept anything away from it that would abuse and tarnish his vocal cords. So he is certainly a work of art, on the vocals. And we all praise Paul. And we watch the videos and see you rock the Monsters of Rock, and we feel a little David Lee Roth in there. When you're performing to a big stadium or a big festival like that, that you can't be over in the corner just singing. That's not enough. You need to get the crowd into it. How do you prepare or treat the performance differently between a smaller crowd and a mass audience like that?
I'll be absolutely honest with you. I don't do anything different. The way I see it, we're very fortunate. We have music that seems to translate equally well in a small place as well as a big place. So I'm looking into the eyes of the people and I'm looking to see joy. If I don't see joy, I have to create joy. And that if that means I have to take my clothes off or set fire to myself or set fire to the audience, I will do it if I know it means we will get a result. Let me give you a little story, just a quick one. We played a show with Deep Purple years ago. It was a corporate show, sponsored by a very big cigar manufacturer. So you can imagine it was very big, very stuffy. Everybody was dressed up in penguin suits. And we step onto the stage. They're all sitting down at tables, smoking these big cigars. And we step onto the stage. Nobody knows who we are. We're opening for Deep Purple. And we go through our moves and we're doing it the way we would like to do it. And nothing's really working. It's almost like it's bouncing off them. None of our bullets are working. And I'm starting to get a bit concerned because we're getting closer to the end. And up comes a big ballad from our first album. It's a song called Don't Wait For Me. And it's a big vocal vehicle for me and a huge guitar solo for Luke at the end. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do here? This is a ballad. How on earth am I going to get the audience going with a ballad? So out of nowhere, this is pure inspiration. I stepped off of the stage, walked down into the audience, picked the most beautiful woman I could see, and I took hold of her hand. I made her stand up from her chair, and then I made her step on the chair and onto the dining table that she was sitting at. And I stepped up onto the table with her, and we danced a slow dance throughout this ballad while I sang the song. And while Luke was doing the solo, I basically cuddled, is probably a nice word, the lady until the solo was over. And then I started singing again. And I performed the whole song dancing with the most beautiful woman in the room. At the end of the song, the audience went nuts. And we had them in the palm of our hands from that point until the end of the show. But up until then, I had absolutely no idea that I was going to do that.
So you broke the ice. You cut the barrier between you and the audience and involve them. That's amazing. Now I know you're always looking to push the envelope, make each album more musical, all that you can. I know that you've added female singers and a brass section. What does that add to the flavor?
I think it's much more to do with whether or not you feel like it's right for the song. We've done it where we feel it works. It's not there throughout the album. It's not like we've turned into a big kind of brass and soul band now with like Motown singers in the background. It's just where it's appropriate. We've always liked female singers. They sound a hell of a lot better than our guys when they're singing the backing vocals. Trust me, if you were in the rehearsal room, you would believe what I'm saying. But it's just great fun to have people on there that add a different flavor where the song deserves it. So, it's just really as simple as that. It's not like any kind of huge sea change. It's just about making the music sound as good as it can and using whatever you need in order to fulfill that. It's the same thing. There are some songs on the album where there are strings, and we got a little string quartet in, and we got them to write some parts, and they played the parts and played around with them until it sounded right. And, that was it. But they're only on a couple of songs, because it's the songs where it worked.
Well, we certainly appreciate the power and the flavor that Thunder keep bringing. All the Right Noises is the new album. The TV special will definitely bring you inside a performance of the band, and of course some Q&A. I know you guys are itching to get back out there on the road as you can. It must be harder and harder to pick the set, because you got the new songs you want to play, you got the classics that people want to hear. How do you put the set together at this point?
With great difficulty. It's got to be said. It's really hard. With every album, you always want to play as many of the new tunes as you can. You recognize you can't, because the audience pays their money. They may not be familiar with the new album. So, they want to hear the ones they like. So you're always playing a bit of a balancing act, and it is hard. There's no doubt about it. And it gets harder with every album because obviously there's more competition for every place. Somebody asked us when we did the TV special last week, when we filmed it, one of the ladies in the Q&A, she said, how do you pick the set list? And we said, it's very hard. And she said, well, are you going to end up doing a Springsteen, and play for 3 hours? And my honest answer was, well, we could do it once, but I think I'd probably be dead at the end. So I don't hold out much hope for the rest of the tour. So we have to strike a balance, and it's hard, really hard.
Well, we're super excited. Want everybody to go check out the TV special and the album, All the Right Noises. And of course, go to the website, thunderonline.com, for all the updates on the band.